Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda, and Keith's album is out. Go to keithandthegirl.com/album or look for I'm Dating Your Mom. Keith is dating your mom. You might want to pick up this album. Of course, this week is the most important week, so if you're going to buy it, and you are going to buy it now for like something like $6. You make Keith dance in his chair like he's doing right now, which is very unnerving, knowing who Keith is.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Again, it's called I'm Dating Your Mom, and it's your, 16th album? No big deal?
16th, I think I'm ready to put stuff out.
All right. It's time to get to know Keith.
That's right. Today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, host of the Glamour Puss comedy show, host of the podcast Pussy Fart Gang. The documentary we'll talk about is called Funny Pains. It was just at the Cannes Film Festival. Cons. Wendi Starling.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I'm so happy to be here.
Everyone's happy that you're here. People on cam, they're watching on YouTube live. They see you on camera and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be a good one."
Oh yeah. Hi. Oh, we see her putting weird drops in her water?
Wendi always comes with like a chemistry set. She
know.
always tells us about the latest in nutrition and like, but you always have this balance of like, and I don't know if this is exact, but it's like I ate a cheeseburger, but then I did a 7-day fast.
Yeah, no, that's called an eating disorder. And I have one of those.
Would you like? Is it the eating disorder, or do you also just like the ritual? Like you don't do cocaine anymore, so now you still have to do. I gotta roll something in one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly. So like I do, any medication I take, like Midol, I snort anything I take. So spirulina, calcium. I like the ritual. It's the ritual.
Somebody hands you like vitamin C with dinner, and you're like, "Hold on, crush."
They send me. I get an emergency packet. I'm like, "Thank you so much." I'm just lining it up. Does someone have a credit card? Oh, I'm sorry. You take your vitamins without credit cards? Got it. Like you're better than me. Okay.
I never thought of that. That is so funny. Just snorting your vitamins,
Right?
Because you need the ritual.
You don't do prostitution of any kind anymore. Is that correct?
Just a hard right.
This is so fun. To me, it goes together, but.
Well, again, I date, but I make them pay me. I make them give me envelopes of cash just for the ritual. Again, it's the same thing. I'm like, look, I don't want to do this, but you got to understand, I've built the synapses in my brain. This is the only way I can get wet is if there's an envelope of cash somewhere in my apartment.
And you give it back the next day.
Yeah, I do. It's a little game. We check it back and forth. Again, it's just for the ritual.
God.
That's funny. The other day we were reading on our forums, the listener Sparrow was writing about the rules to being a sugar daddy or how to be a sugar baby. And it's very controlling. And I'm curious if you ever had to deal with that. She had to have a curfew in her own house.
In fairness, I don't know if she's dealing with it as much as it's turning her on. Like she's actually looking for someone to control her day in that way. So she has to text him by 9 a.m. to say good morning, daddy, and tell him about her day. By like noon, she has to tell him this other stuff. And then she has to text it. Like she has to email. She has to get in touch with him between 9 and 11. And that should be the good night thing. If she's saying good night to him, she's not going out after. And she has like a primary person in the house. He's totally cool with that. So all the rules pertain to like them two and anybody else in the community, but not her and her partner. So when he says like, I'm the only daddy that you have, but and you only jerk off if you let me know, stuff like that, obviously this excludes whatever you do with your partner.
Yeah. So that sounds like, first of all, fun. I'm like, that's making me horny. I don't know if
Is it the way I said it? And then what she does is...
And then it sounds so hot. It's like, oh my God, please tell me there's like a Google Doc that you guys share where you just like, you log like your fantasies. And every time you touch your pussy, I need you to log it in here. We have an iCal.
You see when they're on, their icon comes on the top right.
Right. It's like, I'm so turned on. That's more, and I can see it. That's more of like a BDSM. Like that's a true
like domination.
Yeah,
and
that's a sub-dom relationship.
Like tell me what to do and punish me if I don't do it.
Correct. Okay. And some people really like that. There are a couple guys that I'd met on the site that they're like into that, and I could never really fall in line with that because it's a time suck.
Yeah, I was like, how do you have time? And she's like, well, I work from home and I'm a leisurely person.
Well, there's also ways around the rules. She was pretty clear, like, yeah, I'm the kid, but I can be a bratty baby. I'm like, well, anyone could do that, right?
Right, but then that's part of it too. Is if you're like a brat, then like you get punished.
Right.
And I get that that's fun, and I like that in the moment. Like if there's a sexual encounter and that's part of the play of the game. But the all day, the good morning, it's like, that's why I don't have a fucking boyfriend. That's why that's why I like the people that I ended up staying with for a long time on the site. And there's one that I still see. I like it because they have their own shit going on. And the text is like, hey, can you meet at this day, this time? And I'm like,
it's very
great.
pragmatic in the texting. That's what I think, because I do like the domination in person, but I don't want to curfew, and I don't want to pay attention that hard to time all day, and I don't want my text messages being on a schedule. But obviously, I'm not looking for the same domination. But it's interesting because this seems like emotional and time domination.
Oh yeah, that's what pisses me off. That's the thing is these people, they try to do that. I had a guy who was like wanting to text back and forth, and he was like, I'll Venmo you money if you like text me throughout the day and like send me selfies of you doing stuff. And I had to be like, this is not worth any amount of money unless it's like $10,000 a month, because I think a lot of people, and this is gonna sound cunty and I don't mean it to.
Yes, my favorite.
But it is. But a lot of people that go into, especially on the website, with sugaring. But I think it's like any job, whether it's sex work or drug dealing, things like that, where you're like, this is going to be a side thing that I do to make extra money. You do it, and you all of a sudden have an envelope of, you all of a sudden have like, I remember the first time I got my monthly salary that I would have made at Whole Foods after 2 hours. And I was like, so that's really intoxicating. And so you can lose track of your actual goals, what you're doing. And then you just focus on how can I get more money? This is great. You just like having money. So then that becomes your main job, your main source of income. And that's what you're doing.
Now, how is this cunty?
Well, so what I was going to say, what's cunty is, because I don't want to be like, oh, those people are shitty. Because if that's what you want to do for your main source of income, go for it.
See, this is the thing. Because I've been reading it, and at first, he's going, these are the rules. I've accumulated them over time, with my experience being a sugar daddy. And I was like, this is beautiful.
Sounds like fucking Keith's dad and his rules. If I'm being honest, from the marathon, just like, no making fun of the cat. Can I tell you, that's burned in my brain.
Right. These are my rules, son. And if you have any questions, just ask, and I'll explain the rules.
Is she fucking Keith's dad? This is crazy.
Call me daddy every morning. Say good morning, daddy.
Yep.
Go back to your room and try again if you blow it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was a sugar baby and I didn't know it, but I didn't get paid.
I know.
I had to wear bread bags and boots to school, but I was still a sugar baby. I was a salt baby. I don't know what I was. It was sour. All these rules, I'm like, wait a minute.
Also, the thing is she likes the rule. So it keeps going, and he's got rules that I'm like, you know what? It would be nice if we laid out these rules. Like, this is what I want from you. This is what you want from me. Nice and clear. But then it got like so many rules. Like, when you jerk off, you have to at least send me a video or a picture. And I'm like, now it's production, right? So I go, okay, how much is this for? Because if I have to produce pictures and you have to stay pretty and you have to stay girly and like all this shit, I'm like, all day, every day? So how much? And she goes, it's actually not about the money. I really like that I have this control over me. And I'm like, okay, we're looking for different things.
You're like, okay, but how much money? Like, I'd be like, sure you do. How much money?
We all do it for the love.
Right. Yeah.
But I can't say to my landlord, I love you every month.
Right.
The documentary, Funny Pains.
Yes.
There's a couple things. That
oh my God, sorry. Catherine Boyle is on our YouTube Live, and this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a celebrity sighting. Shout out. Okay, sorry, continue.
Chemda gets excited.
I do get
Hi,
excited.
Catherine.
You should see Chemda on the street. She's like, I know you!
Oh my God, I think I saw a celebrity today walking down the street, but I'm so bad at celebrity that I do it stupid. I'm just like, you look like you would be on TV. I'm like, oh, you could be, because it's a town where like people are.
Did you say that person?
I did not say anything, but
you look like you could be on TV, and they're just like, I'm calling the cops. You're like, I have a podcast. It's my podcast.
But she looks, I got the feeling of like, you ever see someone and it's not that they're just pretty, they look camera ready. They look like, sure. I think I've only seen you and your people on TV. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm like, what if she is? I have no idea. And then she looks at me like, and I want to say like, I see you recognizing me. And I'm like, no, I don't.
So all that really happens is two people pass each other and one goes, I don't know you. And they go about their day. That's what really happens.
She walks by, she's like, you're not that pretty.
Right. And then walking away in her head, she's so pretty. Now that woman has an eating disorder. Because Chemda decided to take the train.
And she's going to continue to get more and more work because she's thinner. Thanks a lot, bitch.
I'm so sorry for what I am.
The
to be
rich
sorry
get
about.
richer and the hot get hotter.
So in this documentary, though, speaking of which, you mentioned you don't think you're pretty enough to be as weird as you are.
Yeah.
And even today, we're in the beginning of the show, and you already made like some kind of little allude to not being so pretty. Or before the mic check, you talked about the shaving your head, and you're like, but I don't know if I should with this face. Do you not know you're beautiful?
Okay. First of all, I feel like I'm being set up. This is such a setup. But I'm not answering that question because I feel it. I feel a backhand coming.
No, but your face is great.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. This is a very weird compliment. I'm just looking at you like your face is great.
Well, but
Are you on TV?
have I seen you before? Were you at Starbucks at 10:30 this morning?
How'd you know where I was?
I don't even get cable. I don't even get cable. It's on Netflix or I don't know. My train's here.
You guys, verbatim.
Right. In the documentary, you mentioned you feel you have to be good at comedy because you're scared that you will be alone.
Yes.
Is this still true?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what was the statement?
She's afraid she's going to be alone, so she better be good at her job because she's not going to have a partner in life.
Oh, so you're female. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a
Established.
woman.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
No, but it's the weird thing, and I think, and maybe not a lot of, but female comics, I think there's a drive. There's something in women where there's a desire to be funny specifically. Because I think as a woman, if you're like, I want to be an actress, like Chemda already said, they're all pretty, and it's like they have good bone structure. And so they're like, I want to be on TV and I want people to look at me. I think the drive to be funny or like, or smart or like do something with your personality because you kind of at a young age for whatever reason, I think it was probably when my parents got divorced and my mom left. I like for whatever reason, oh God. Maybe when my mom left us, hard pause.
Right. I mean, if we're reaching.
Right. I mean, if I had to pick something, I don't know, out of the top of my asshole, I would guess when my family broke up. But some part of my brain, it just was like, as far as I was like, okay, I'm never going to get anything based on how I look. And I was like, all right, so you're ugly, so get a fucking skill. And I just, at a young age, I just had that belief system. And I still have to find a skill. But
I felt that because I'm like, well, my parents can tell me I'm pretty as much as they want, but when they see someone who looks like me on TV, they ask who put her there. So I'm just like,
it's new rules today. Yeah. There are uglies out there.
It was so interesting watching them watch the news. They're like, yeah, you know what? At least she's pretty to look at if she's gonna just keep fucking talking.
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh, this guy, I get like not so much about men, and then they see like someone who maybe has not the blonde hair or not like, and especially back then it was more like the whiter you are, like the whiter features you are, the more pretty you were, and I guess that's still the same now. But
yeah, back in the day before racism went far away.
But I feel like there's more space to have difference right now, or maybe I feel that way because I'm not under the oppression of my parents. But yeah, I thought like, well, with my features, I will never be, and I didn't have these terms, but conventional pretty. So I have to be nice and like, I don't know, use my boobs. Like my body was all right. Like, so it's like I watched older men responding to bodies and responding to like smaller clothes, or like somebody commented on my boobs for the first time when I was in high school, and I was like, oh, these are something? Okay, time to use those. I don't know. Like,
someone commented on my tits, and I was like, that's my ticket. Yeah. I've never worn a bra since.
Yeah. It's like when I was in school and somebody liked my shirt, a girl liked my shirt and it was blue. Next day I come in, I'm in all blue.
Right, yeah.
I've dyed my hair blue.
It's like you're hearing for clues like, oh, that's what's pretty about me. Like if you hear two people commenting on your boobs, it's like, oh, that's what I have. What else do I have? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're picking up like context who's like, what is my value? What's my
Yes.
purpose here? And
Yeah.
all in school, like I remember no one was ever like, there would be growing up, they'd be like, oh, this girl's pretty, this girl's pretty. And all my friends, I can remember specifically, especially like from the boys, no one ever told me I was pretty, but the boys would be like, Wendi, you're like funny. You're like one of us. But you're funny. And I was like, what? I didn't. They would be like. They remember the one time they're like pointing at girls like, she's hot and she's pretty and she's that. And I remember just sitting there with my male friends. I didn't say anything. And they were like, well, but you're really funny. And I was like, you don't need a butt. And I didn't say anything. But thanks for the fucking heads up, cunts.
You're cool because I don't got to jerk off to you.
Right. That's what I like about you.
I can get things done around you.
Look, do you want to see something crazy? At our age, we're supposed to have boners all the time. Look, mine actually hang out with you. Mine's in my body. My dick, just hearing your voice, my dick climbed inside of my body.
When you when you stop over, I get homework done. I love it. I love it.
But then I think, I have developed a personality and I start liking myself and I start like figuring out how to be attracted to myself. So I'm like, oh, I can see like these men finding me attractive. Maybe not all men throughout, but I'm like, someone's going to find me attractive. I figured out some stuff with my hair and blah, 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 and presentation. And then I'm like, and I'm funny, and I have this personality. And I'm like, this should be great. And it turns out like everybody who liked that big, like loud personality would be like, oh, very intriguing. And then you start dating and it's like, oh, you're still going to be loud. And I'm like, what the? I was like, oh, I really thought this was one of my assets. I'm so confused.
No, you have my attention. Now calm the fuck down.
Right. It was really like that. And I'm just like, it really did confuse me because I enjoyed it with other people. So I'm like, but you're loud too. Or like, I've seen you laugh at loud. Oh, fuck, now that I realized that was my dad. My dad would turn on, and I don't mean like sexually or anything, but like, that excitement, he would turn on by highly intellectual, like fun-loving women, and not like, he wouldn't hit on them in front of it. He was like womanizer, but like not gross in front of us. And I'm like, boy, this turns you on. But my mother is a meek, like do what the dude says. And I'm like, but you want to be around these kind of feisty firecracker, whatever. But I saw the separation. Like, these are women that you just kind of like talk to and then kind of be embarrassed by if you need to go to somewhere serious.
Right.
And this woman is always going to say the right thing and just kind of, be in my shadow. And I'm like, I don't want to pick from those two.
Well, and it's an interesting thing because I actually had this conversation with my sugar daddy. This is a while ago. We went on like a vacation and we go out, and it's the same thing where he's like, it's so great that you're, you're outspoken. I love it. But he did not love it because then once we were like hanging out, I remember we went on vacation and I was like, this is going to be great. We're just going to like have sex all the time. And I remember we're on the plane and he was like, I'm so excited. I'm going to jump in the water as soon as I get there. And we're on the plane and he goes, yeah, I'm excited to take a nap. Did you bring a book? And I was like, what the fuck? And I can remember, this is a real conversation we had where we were laying out and he brought something up about, and he's an older white man. I don't think I have to lay that out. It's an older white man with money. And he said, just out of the blue, he goes, so what do you think about all this like feminism stuff where they're trying to like, have like, at my office, they did something for like woman of the year, and I feel like a lot of women, that should just be person of the year. And I think a lot of women feel, it's almost degrading, like it's a handicap award. And
I said, you pay double now. This is work. Now it's work. That asshole play? Okay.
Yeah.
It was a Tuesday.
Right.
Now I'm working.
Yes. 100%. And that is what you're getting paid for. And I said to him, I felt all my blood boil in my body. And I looked at him and I said, babe.
I like that you started with babe.
Yeah. I go, babe, I'm going to give you two options here.
I fuck all your friends, or
I go, do you want the real answer or do you want a Stepford answer? You have two options. And he's like, no. I said, no. Let's be real about what this is. I understand I'm being paid. I understand I'm on, like, I understand I serve a purpose. And I know it's like fun when we go out and it's like fun that I'm loved. But in this situation, I'm going to give you two choices. Choose wisely.
right.
And he's like, no, I want the real answer. And I'm like, but do you? Because I need to get paid. Because because I also want to finish out this vacation.
And so you clock out for your 10-minute break and tell him the answer.
Yep.
And they
I'm on my break. Sit down. Oh, gotta go back to work.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and so but I've learned that too, where being loud, and as a kid, I was always like, okay, so being funny, men don't find that like attractive in a partner, and so I can remember as a kid, like consciously being like going to elementary school and being like, okay, when you get to the lunch table, do not make a joke. I remember consciously being like, don't make a
Wow.
joke, don't say anything funny in class, just stop it, and I remember like. I would had a joke like on the tip of my tongue, and I was like, I have to say this. This would be a perfect thing to say. And I'm like, don't let one of the boys say it.
Wow.
And I sat there, and I'm like, no one's gonna say this joke. And I was like, I could see it like floating away. And I forgetting what the joke was, but I remember I was at lunch and I like yelled out this thing like a grenade. Everybody laughed, and I was like, oh, thank God. And then I'm like, God damn it, I'm never gonna have a boyfriend. But it was like I had a like what and so
That's funny because it sounds like you learned the lesson so much earlier because I kept being tricked. Like, we're all having fun. And I'd get manic like a big puppy. Like, it is so much fun. Let's do it more. Let's do this. Obviously, like if we add sex to this, it can only get better. Yay! And then it's like, oh my God, you're a whore. And I'm like, no, I'm just sucking your dick. Like, remember when we were attracted to each other?
Yeah.
Now we're fucking and I like it. And yeah, I like sucking your dick. That's weird to you now.
But can I tell you something? Can I tell you this though? And this is so with not drinking and having sex with a new person, quite interesting. So I do have.
Turns out I'm there.
Yeah. It turns out it's happening. They go inside of your body with it. I had no idea.
Oh, shout out to Ian Lee, who's in our YouTube channel.
Well, definitely give men the credit too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's hitting on Keith for his sleeveless
course.
outfit.
It's great.
I'm practical.
I love it.
Thank you.
But like this guy, so we hung out and we're buds, and I didn't realize he was trying to fuck. I know because he's like this guy's like smoking hot, tall. He's like age appropriate, which is weird for me. He's like 41. He's successful. I mean, this guy's so fucking hot. And he would come to shows and just hang out. And I'm like, and he was like, do you want to go to dinner after? And I'm like, yeah. And he doesn't drink. And so we would just hang out and talk and laugh. And then we'd go back to his apartment. And because we're not drinking, like there's not really like an in to be like, oops, your dick fell in me.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and we hung out a few times. And then I was tired and we just get dessert and we just keep eating. And I was so confused. I'm like, I guess he just really wants a bud. And then like the third night we were hanging out, we were both so tired, but forcing ourselves to like talk about UFOs or fucking whatever. And he looks at me and he goes, do you want to make out? And I'm like, oh, yeah. That's yes. Yeah. Let's do it. And so we made out. And I gotta say, the sex was good. And it's not because the alcohol wasn't there, because I fucked sober other people. And maybe this is just me because I'm like fucked up in the head. It was not as sexy to fuck someone that I was also like having fun with conversationally.
Huh.
And I think
Oh, no.
so that
Because you respect them?
yes.
Oh, no.
And because I'm like, oh, because we actually like each other. So it felt weird. Like there wasn't.
Oh, so
it was-
because there's a space for friendship and you're in that space and you didn't know how to switch it to that sex space?
Yeah, it was very weird. And we've tried a few times and the sex it feels good, but I'm just like not into it. I like a little bit of like.
Maybe steal money from him and then
Yeah, I know.
change everything in your brain?
Yeah, I tried to find something. I was like, do you have a banana or something I can take? Is there anything worth of value in your apartment that I can take so that I'll like it?
What happened?
Nothing. It was fine, but it's just like we hang out and it's fine. But I'm so used to a bigger age difference.
So does that get normalized? Was it normalized before? Like you liked it or you learned to like it?
I prefer a bigger age difference, I think.
Always?
I think I always have. And it's similar to like the girl in your forum where she likes the control. So I like that, the feeling submissive. I mean, I prefer in a relationship to be submissive. So if I'm dating someone, I actually like won't, it's weird because I won't be loud and act like and make jokes. Like I can be funny out, but if I'm like in the bedroom or on a date, like I like to be quiet and submissive and be kind of like told what to do a little bit. Like I get off on that. Yeah. And this guy is not like that. And so he was just like, you're so funny. This is great. do you want to get naked? And I was like, okay, well, this is it's like having sex with like a Labrador.
Hey, when you're on this vacation with the sugar daddy, and do you end up taking the time to explain why going out of your way to celebrate women is important? And then right after you do it, do you then have to pretend you're picking things off the floor?
Yes.
We saw you taught me a lot. And then you just throw thumbtacks on the ground. Now go get those.
Yeah, pick them up.
How old were you when your parents broke up?
8.
8 years old.
Yeah.
Now, this might sound stupid. It just didn't. It should have happened to me, but it didn't. What is so traumatic that you think it's your fault at the time? Why is it so terrible for children?
Why at the age of 8, because our parents are still together. I mean, they shouldn't be, but why at the age of 8 does it register? Are they fighting? Can you hear it?
No, so my mom and dad were married, and I'm using my hands to show everybody like the dolls, how the Barbies and Kens were. So my mom and dad were married, and then my stepdad, who my mom and stepdad are still married, my stepdad was married to another woman. And so my mom and stepdad, future stepdad, started sleeping together. And then while they were fucking, the future stepdad and his wife at the time would hang out and double date with my parents. And we go to their house at the beach. They lived at a beach house. So my brother and I...
So this is while an affair was happening.
Yeah. So while an affair was happening, they would be like, oh, we should double date and hang out. And my mom and future stepdad, while they were working together.
Oh, wow.
And so we knew them.
But how would you know that that's how adults break each other's heart? Do you know what I mean? Like, how would you know that it was an affair?
I didn't know at the time, but... when I woke up for school one day and my mom was gone, my mom disappeared for a year. And then when she reappeared, the dude that used to come and hang out with his wife, my mom was now living with this guy and engaged to be married to him. So when I was 8, I was like, I'm no Judy Blume or whatever fucking kid detective. But I was like, and I'm no Encyclopedia Brown.
Right.
But so I was at that age, I was like, oh, I knew immediately. I was like, oh, this makes sense. They were probably fucking while we. And so that was traumatic. But then also I think when you're a kid, and it's traumatic if your parents stay together and they're fighting and they don't like each other, that fucks you up in a different way. But when your parents get divorced when you're a kid, because you're new to the planet, so you don't know what's going on, and your parents, you're like, this is my family and this is safety. So when that breaks apart for whatever reason.
But would it have helped if somebody talked instead of your mother disappearing? Like, would you, in your 8-year-old brain, you seem like you understood a lot, but you got to those conclusions by yourself. If somebody helped you with the conclusions, would that have?
I think it does a little bit, but it still doesn't take away from the trauma. And I know there are like way worse childhood traumas to have, but it doesn't
I love how everyone has to say that. Like, I know I was fed and they didn't beat me on a regular basis, but you know what I mean?
'Cause you get people, people...
I don't want to be cunty, but my dad made me wake up every morning and praise him.
I had to not make fun of the cat. That's the funniest rule to me. And I have a cat, and I think about it. I think about that daily.
In my book, The Great American Novel, she's alluding to the rules in the beginning, and there's like 35 rules. Don't have elbows on the table. Don't laugh inside. If loud inside, go outside. If loud outside, shut up.
I mean, and the cat one is so funny because
don't mock the cat in its presence.
Don't mock the cat. That's what
if you go through, because I'm like, okay, very good, Keith. Like if I were to write down my childhood, maybe it would sound exaggerated and whatever. You get around him and his siblings, and they will verbatim just knock it out. They won't just say don't mock the cat. They'll say don't mock the cat in its presence. Like it has been driven. He's not making it up. It's fucking nuts.
I would not.
They're my references.
Yeah, it's so weird. And the thing is they all look like different versions of Keith. So it's like, oh, this version of Keith is saying the same thing that Keith says. It's so weird.
Ew.
There's one girl Keith. There's like a shorter Keith, a taller Keith. It's so funny.
I gotta see pictures of these Keiths.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Show me the Keiths. I want to see them.
Hey,
there's like baby Keith because they have 5 children, so the age difference is like pretty wide. So it's like, oh, baby Keith.
Right. But by the way, this sugar daddy story, what country did you happen to be visiting when you said vacation?
Turks and Caicos.
Nice. Now, when he pays for dinner, obviously, anywhere you guys go, do you say thank you at the end like it's a surprise? Hey, thank you.
I do.
But you both knew.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Always, yeah.
Oh, you got it, honey. Like.
Oh yeah,
you
I
knew.
always, and I mean, and I joke about it too. But I'm always like, "Thank you for dinner." But I do that, when my mom would cook for me. Like I try
Right.
to say thank you all the time. It's
Because that's part of it. You're doing a girlfriend experience.
right.
Yeah, a girlfriend who likes you no matter what you say experience.
Right, exactly. and I think too, that's part of why people maybe go either outside of their marriage or look for these relationships or do different things. That's part of it is because I think after time, people stop doing a basic thing. Like if you go out with someone and you've been together for 15 years, even if you have a joint bank account, and and they pay for dinner, or like if your spouse cooks for you,
Or even if they make the decision of which restaurant and like they make the effort to like, when you don't have to do the work around it. Like if you're in New York, it's different. It's not like you can pick me up and whatever. But if you already know the trains, if you're the one leading, if you made the decision on a restaurant that I'll like the food, it's like these, like, thank you, I don't have to do this.
Right.
Even though we're paying from the same wallet, thanks for doing like the outside work of it.
Right. And you can do, but even like you have if someone like does the dishes or whatever, I mean, so people don't say thank you for that kind of stuff. They lose that in traditional relationships, which is why people, I think, you start to, then you're like, well, now I don't feel appreciated. And I don't feel this and I don't feel that. So
There's
people-
also like, I think it's important when somebody comes into the place that you acknowledge that person enters. It's like, I know that you could live together for 10 years, but hi, it's good to see you. And I come up to you. I don't like the whole like, oh, you've been here the whole time. I just got here. Everyone just keeps going with what they're doing.
Yeah. I like a, hey, babe, give a pat on the ass. That's what I do with my nieces and nephews and toddlers.
You know what's funny? If I would date and let's say I pay for dinner and it matters the more it is. So let's say it's over $100 and at the end and I'm like, oh, you didn't say thank you yet. I just don't want you to think magic happened. We sat down, they liked our mug, and so we got free food.
Right.
And then they'll say thank you, and I'll be like, oh, please, of course.
Right. You're like, oh my God, you don't have to do that.
I'm like, oh, you didn't say it yet, and we already walked a block.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that people don't, like basic kindnesses.
I think it's embarrassing in a way because it's like, well, obviously this is nice, but for people to say obvious things, sometimes it feels intimate and embarrassing. Like you're humbling yourself and going like, I acknowledge that you paid for that, which
Right.
means I did not pay for it, which means you're in the kindness high right now. But really all it is like, wow, I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Right.
But I don't think that we're comfortable in that space.
And you can even, doesn't have to be if someone pays for it. With like, you can even say like, thanks for a fun night.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not like I'm some great, but I think because my dad's very much like this. And so I learned from my dad. My dad is the nicest person. So he's always like, thank you. I love you. Like he's very complimentary and whatever. So you always feel appreciated. And so I've been
Wow,
trained
your
that
mother's
way.
a cunt.
Oh yeah. Oh, you don't have to tell me, sister.
That's got to be hard to watch.
Yeah. Oh, my dad's like the nicest, and obviously everyone's older now. And so like you forgive and you move on and I understand that she was young at the time.
Right.
She got married right out of high school, had a couple kids and really young, and then met this other guy and she was like, oh, this is who I'm actually in love
Right.
with. And this is who I want to be my partner when she was in her late 20s, which I'm like, I get that.
Totally get it. She could have gone at it a different way, but it is what it is after
Right.
years of bullshit.
Right. And so you're
Who
like,
cares?
what, I'm going to just sit and be mad? Or you go like, okay, she's a human and I got to deal with whatever and move on. But yeah, I mean, just on paper, you're like, well, what a bitch. You know what I mean? Because my dad's super nice. But what's interesting is with the sugar daddy, with doing that, I think it's helped me because you are aware that you're on payroll. And so things like there's certain like politenesses and kindnesses, and like if I'm mad about something, you don't fly off the handle right away because you're like, control your anger, and the goal is to like make sure that he's having a good time. But then he, in return, wants me to have a good time. So I'm like, oh, this is actually just how to behave in a healthy relationship. Is you just be nice to the other
Right.
person, listen to what they're saying.
Right. You learn to count to 10 because it's your job now.
Well,
Right.
but then there's this thing that we're doing, and I think people forget. Like when you're at work, you can't fly off the handle. But why do you feel like you can do that at home? You could be impatient with that person. You got to treat them like you could lose your job because you can lose them. So I think people forget that you're checking into here just like you're checking into work. If you don't want to be treated at work a certain way, and if you want to get your pay raises and your acknowledgments from your coworkers and things like that, you do say thank you when somebody gets you a coffee, and you do say thank you when somebody holds the door for you, and you do say thank you when somebody helps you on a project. So that's no different. You come home with like leftover nothing energy. Who's going to want to be with you?
Right. But what Chemda and myself would call our time off, dinners or loving things with our partner, that's work to you. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
when you do have time off, do you want to be alone? Not with a nice guy per se. I just want to be by myself. I'm always on.
Yeah, I do. Well, because with doing either like during the day, it's like we're writing, you're doing podcast radio, and then at night I have shows, and then when I don't, and then when I don't have shows, the other part of my job is I'm with the sugar daddy. So it's like I like all of my everything that I do.
It's a lot of emotional energy.
A lot of emotional energy. And it's a lot of like,
Listening.
obviously not here. This is not about you guys. It's a lot of pretending like you're happy to be wherever you are. I was like, that's going to sound shitty, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
Where you like,
Of course, you got to put drops in your water.
yeah, of
Whatever
course.
you're up
I'm
to.
just like, oh God, I got. But you have to. But like, and this is different. I mean, this is obviously because it's like fun and we're laughing, making jokes.
Right.
But the dating thing, that's a very controlled, because it's fun, but it's not super relaxing. Because like, for example, I walked in here and I'm hungry, but I'm going out to dinner with him tonight. And so, and so I know we're having dinner tonight. And so I want to eat in front of him, but just like not too much, but I just want to look good. And then I want, it's this whole thing. So if I had a normal boyfriend, I would be like, oh yeah, I want a slice of pizza. That sounds great. Because if I look a little bloated, which one piece of pizza is not going to really do any fucking thing, you know what I mean? But I'm like, I'm anxious and already planning in my head of like, okay, I got to make sure I get up and I work out and I drink enough water and I'm not bloated and I have to like look good and be like.
You got to be camera ready.
You have to be camera ready to go out on this date, and then also like to have the energy, but the emotional energy is huge because you'd want to just sit down and be like, oh God, I'm tired. But you have to be like, all I want to do is talk to you about your day.
Right.
No. Please tell me about tax reforms. That's all I want to hear about. Tax law. But yeah, so when I have a night off, and this is where it gets tricky with like, and I think a lot of people fall into sex work is such an interesting thing because any type of sex work, but especially like the more involved it is when you have a night off, there's this tendency to be like, my first thing, I used to be where I would just like drink my dick off and do coke all night because I was just like, oh, I have finally a night to myself, which is like the most backwards thing to do.
Right.
And so, but now I'll be like, oh, I have the night off. I want to get a thing of nachos or like, but that's kind of what I'll do is when I have a night off where I don't have anything to do, I'll work out really hard. And then I get some kind of like a tuna melt or not. I get something and I just sit in my apartment in sweats and I watch TV and hang out with my cat.
A full block of cheese. It's me day.
Yeah, I just do a block of cheese, I hang out with my cat, and I watch CNBC. I'll just watch Shark Tank, and it's like,
Right.
That's my dream.
Yeah. You know what? Chemda was telling me, Xerxes is going to the movies. He's seeing The Life of Pets 2. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, he must have a day off. That sounds fun. And then she continues with his little daughter. And I'm like, oh, yeah, people do that. I'll go into any movie by myself. I don't care. I got confused for a second. The number one movie of the weekend, Chem, that's your favorite topic on this show?
No idea what's happening.
Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah, of course, sure. Yeah.
You know, by the
Oh my God, you know what I saw yesterday?
Huh.
Inception.
Okay.
You know what I realized? It's a feelings movie for men where you guys are shooting at each other's subconscious the whole time until the main guy learns his lesson and lets go of his possibly dead wife, but maybe he's dead, whatever, Inception. But yeah, it's like a big fat feelings. It's like, the subconscious is coming after us. And then they're shooting people in the subconscious. And it's like, okay, dude.
Oh, they tricked me.
Yeah.
I thought I was just watching guns.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I
Yeah.
gotta watch it.
I think I just summed it up for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's like, is this real? Nothing's real, man.
Right.
Yeah. At the end of it, it's like, nothing's real. And he learns how to let go of the wife that he's been with for 50 years in 5 minutes in order to get what he needs.
I kind of get the idea of I like the movie. I think to me the ultimate movie that did that of like, this is all bullshit is The Matrix. Like, cause that was like, it's a simulation. It's not real, but within a storyline. But I have a hard time with movies where it's this cool, like this awesome story. But then like, you're like, how are they going to solve this? How are they going to get out of this? And then at the end, they're like, it was all a dream. And you're
Right.
like, it's such a cop out.
But in this one, it's like, this is all a dream. And then they start, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like part of it that you'd never know who's in a dream and who's not. And at the end of it, they sort of leave it hanging. So it's sort of part of it, but only in a dream do men's subconscious comes out. And I love how every guy's subconscious is like getting mad while they're in there. It's like, well, you're messing with my subconscious, so everyone's getting mad at you. And I'm like, okay, boys. Okay, do you have some feelings? One dude's feelings is on an elevator, and legit on the bottom floor is the biggest feeling. He's like, don't go in there. Oh my goodness.
What in
Oh
the
my
fuck?
goodness.
Now I have to watch it.
I thought I saw it.
Apparently you did not.
I thought I loved it.
And that's the thing. I'm like, so and the whole time I'm trying not to like roll my eyes, but they are going in the back of my head. And I'm just like, oh, are we going another layer deep into your feelings?
Xerxes trying to enjoy it. and
He
you're
loved it. Anyway, I saw Inception, so I'm current.
Good job. Good job. Number 2 movie, Toy Story 4. Number 3, yesterday. If the Beatles didn't exist, but somebody knew about it and made all his songs.
That
all
sounds
the Beatles
good.
songs.
You know what? That sounds really. Maybe they call it a summer movie, but it sounds better than that. It sounds pleasant. Like we can watch this. We don't have to be like, social, political, anything. It's just like here's something.
Right.
Here's something in the afternoon. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's another, that's like Broadway, what they're doing on Broadway now, where they're just like, we need a hit. So they're just like, let's put a bunch of music that people like into a thing. So it's essentially just like another good soundtrack.
Right.
Yeah, this one has a little. It sounds like it's a little bit more fun, but maybe you're right. It's the same thing. It's just squeezed songs into the thing. But maybe for this one, they didn't have to make like the actual music, the life track. You
Right.
know, he is just singing the songs.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not like I saw Mamma Mia on Broadway because my mother was leaving for Israel for good, and she's like, "Hey, I would love to see Mamma Mia," and I was like, "No, you wouldn't. Nobody would." But okay, I got us tickets, and it was the worst. It was like whatever their song was, they built the stupid scene around it, and I'm like, "Nah, this song, ABBA,
Right.
that's the depth of your fucking show, Mamma Mia," and I'm like. Because your mother's coming? Like, what are we talking about? So everything was so literal. And it's like,
Yep.
you don't take ABBA literally and make a script out of it. It's just horrible.
Speaking of horrible, number 4, Annabelle Comes Home.
What's that? Scary movie?
A doll's alive and is going to kill
Yeah,
you.
every time something comes home, it's like, why doesn't that sound good?
I gotta go see that. I love scary movies.
No.
It's one of my favorite things. And those movies, that series,
Yeah.
I just like jump scares.
Right.
Oh, I
That's-
hate that.
If I watch them and they're like, oh, it's psychological, I'm like, fucking whatever. Just slow down the music, give me a dark corner, and let a cat jump through something. And I love scary movies. Well, there are all these studies like fear, because the fear response is the same as arousal. So when you're like, those are very similar in your brain.
I must hate being aroused.
I mean,
I scare Chemda around the corner. She comes all over the place. I'm like, well, that was out of line of me.
Annabelle comes home. Chemda comes everywhere.
I get mad in horror movies. I get mad at the audience. I remember seeing Hereditary, and you knew it was a horror movie. So the movie starts, it just pans a room. There wasn't even scary music, just pans a room, and then you see a coat rack. And the coat rack comes into frame, and the audience can't really tell what it is at first. They're like, ah! It's like, no, nothing happened. Nothing happened. They told
Stop
you it's
enjoying
Yes,
yourself.
they told you it's a horror movie. If it was a comedy, you wouldn't have screamed. Nothing happened, you liar.
Let people now look at. Those are my people.
Yep.
I go to a scary movie and I sit and I have my body tightly wound and I have my hands like right on my face and somebody comes out and I'm like, wow! Like I'll scream at the top of my lungs so people turn around and they laugh and I'm like, I'm just like, let me fucking have this.
When I would go
Let me have this.
When I go on a date to a haunted house and my date is legitimately screaming, in every room, I got to look at her and be like, should I punch this fucking ghost? Like, you're really... should I protect you or just shrug?
I don't know, but even in Inception, he's like running away from, well, they're all running away from guns constantly. How cute. So, and it looks like it looks like they should have shot him because there's so many guns, but he escapes it. Anyway, no worries. But I know it's Leonardo DiCaprio, so he might live. But I'm like, it looks like he's run. So I get into whatever you want me to get into. If it's good, even, and I'm rolling my eyes, but I'm like, but he better run fast because they're after him and they have guns. I don't know. It's like a weird dichotomy, I think.
It's a fun thing to do. It's like, that's like escape rooms I love. Put me in a fake scenario.
I've
Like,
never been.
Dude, what the fuck?
Do you have to lead the team?
Have you been, Andrea? You guys? That's what we're doing. An escape room.
Do you want to hear something? Somebody asked, whatever happened to your old producer, Danny Hatch? He's still in one. They don't let you out unless you earn it.
I know.
Yeah, it's been a year easily.
We got to go get him. That's our mission.
I don't want to get stuck. I think we had to write him off.
And I love, just because it's like you have 1 hour and it's problem solving and puzzles. I mean, I just like that kind of stuff. And so you get a fake scenario. It's like playing house. It's like acting in a movie. You just pretend that something, and it's so fun. But you have to be into it. Like the stakes are high. It's just the thrill. I mean, I like an adrenaline rush, obviously. I have to find shit to do now. I'm like, my normal life.
Who's running after me? Go, go, go.
My normal life is not, my normal life is already pretty jacked up to the nth degree where it's, you know what I'm saying? Where
But
I'm
you
like,
did an escape room with a couple other people, right? I assume?
yes.
And do you get angry? Like, we're looking for a number, idiot!
I only go with people who are serious, first of all. And I did.
We will die.
I get so into it. And I went with 2 other comics. And
They should put a dead body in the corner, like for real.
I would.
You can do that with my body
Love
when I
it.
die.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah. People want to be cremated. I'm like, here's what you can do. You have to string me up from an escape room.
Act like I'm the one that didn't make it.
But also put my name in the credits, like today's dead body.
Right.
Keith Malley.
Right.
You can poke it.
We have Ross Perot today. That's strange, but okay, I'm in.
It's so fun. I went with 2 other comics, Marlena Rodriguez and Christina Hutchinson.
Right.
And we were like, this will be fun. And it was the same when we were like, oh, this will be like a fun activity. And they were both, and this is when I was drinking, they're like, would you want to get like drinks before? And I was like, no, you guys, focus. Right. Anyone, I wore like workout clothes because I'm like, we might have to get physical. And
You gave everybody Ritalin.
I did. I was like, listen. No one's drinking and no one's doing coke because that'll wear off because you have an hour in there. So we need to take speed, time release, meth.
By the way, I saw the Spider-Man movie. I saw it. The
Did
first.
you take a kid or no?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, I got to enjoy it. No, can you imagine? I see a movie. It's over 2 hours, and the kid wants to go to the bathroom. No. You'll be fine. Go by yourself. So anyway, I watch it. It was a night movie. By the way, this Tony Stark. Does anybody recognize that he causes all the problems in these superhero movies? Aliens are his fault. Ultron was his fault. This new one, he's dead. It's his fault that everything bad happens. These superheroes need to stay home. They're the real villains. Look into it. Okay. So
Isn't that what The Incredibles was a little bit about?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I see the 10:30 movie. That means with previews and everything, it's going to be past 12 a.m. the next day, my girlfriend's birthday. Okay. So it's like 12. And I told her, when I'm going to be back. So about 12.
You told her when to be disappointed.
I told her. Yeah. So about.
Like, be disappointed until like 12:30ish. That's just a half hour. It's
Right.
24 hours.
So-
you know what? We'll kick it into the next day, 30 minutes. You're welcome.
So I get out at 12:30, and I think I'm going to be the first one to say happy birthday. I'm not. At 12:01, this guy that she was with in the past, who knows me, wrote happy birthday.
Nope.
What a creep.
Nope.
What a creep.
Nope. You know what's weird?
And this person's in a relationship now. Like,
Ew.
you didn't tell your girlfriend, I'm just going to write an ex.
That's
You
bad.
fucking creep.
Does he live? Where does he live? In New York?
He lives in New York.
Ooh.
Let's get him.
Yeah.
Let's invite him to an escape room.
And do all the plans wrong.
Yeah.
So he's stuck.
Let's have him as a guest on the show.
Yes.
I hate that because it's one of those things where it's like, well, what's Keith going to say? He's just going to sound petty.
Right.
But it's a new world, people, and we see you. And I don't like that shit. I don't like it. I've had that where it's like, oh, yeah, I'm not the 12:02 and I still didn't get it.
Right.
12:01 and somebody beat me to it. Oh, now she's going for 11:59. Great birthday.
That one sounded personal.
Yeah, no, it really happened. I was like, okay, we can at least admit that this woman's up your fucking ass.
Right.
Like, why do you know what time it is today? So fucking hard.
Yeah.
Right.
What the fuck?
That means you're just jacking off, watching the clock change. Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
I get to say happy birthday.
It's like, what do you have some sugar daddy telling you have to text this bitch at a certain time?
Yeah, what are you paying me, bitch? You could say happy birthday to my husband. Spoiler alert.
Oh, I don't think that was this. People are like, what?
Is this conversation in an escape room? What is she getting at?
But yeah, you could say happy birthday. Just pay me every time you're a cunt. Because I see you. It's so petty because we're like of an age where it's like, really? Who are you playing?
Yeah.
What's this game?
I like it.
Yeah. Do you need some dice?
And it's not even that. I mean, he'd fuck her again, but it's not like that's gonna happen. So he just wants to just know that it's 12:01.
He's
and
the good
hello.
guy. Yeah, he remembers. Oh my God, you
I remember, and I want you to miss me, and that's the end of the way things could be.
It's so creepy because to me, like if I were your girlfriend, I would be like, I need to get a restraining order. That to me seems, like honestly, that seems aggressive. An ex, I have an ex who, and he's a very nice guy, and he's got a girlfriend. They've been together for like 6 years. Maybe longer, and he still he finally stopped like calling me all the time. But we've been broken up for 11 years. We broke up before I started doing stand up. But he's still like on my birthday, he'll text me the day of and he'll FaceTime me to like show me his like me and my girlfriend got a new dog, and I'm like, I don't think this is healthy.
That's what I do because like 10 years ago, Keith and I broke up, and I'm like, you still want to talk into these fucking mics? Didn't we do that already? It didn't work. Yeah, but imagine me texting you at like midnight.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
I hoped you would just stop it at just imagine me texting you.
Just like, I'll talk to you tomorrow. What the fuck is happening?
Imagine me contacting you in any way when I'm not being paid.
I was alluding to.
It's funny because when I talk to Keith off air, it's always like I'm auditioning for the show. So it's like I'll tell him about my day, and if he starts like kind of like, I'm just like, all right. Next story. How about this one? I'm always pitching to Keith. Do you find this interesting?
Was that worth your words? Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll come up with some.
But I stopped asking him if he's listening because then he does that fucked up thing of just repeating my last sentence. And I'm like, ugh.
But what am I supposed to
Go to
repeat
hell.
someone else's sentence? How is that not the perfect answer? Should I paraphrase it? I got it dead right.
That's such like the shitty kid in school. Just what did I say? And you just repeat it back to you like, you piece of shit, you sack of shit.
But you know what? We should all learn a lesson. When Keith is disinterested, people stop talking.
It is
So,
good.
yeah. So, okay. Who's winning and who's losing?
I was mentioning Ross Perot. He just passed away at, I believe, 89 years old.
Really?
Yeah. He was the very first person I voted for. I voted for him. It was the first George Bush against Bill Clinton, and he was a third party, the Reform Party. He got a higher percent than any third party has ever gotten in the last 100 years. I think it's like Teddy Roosevelt had numbers like that, was high before that. Yeah, I liked him. He seemed very smart. He was a self-made billionaire. Anytime you hear about a billionaire, you're like, there's got to be tricks, but it sounds like he really started from the bottom, literally delivering mail in a small town on a pony.
This is funny because I wasn't into politics at all. So all I know of Ross Perot was people making fun of him. Yeah. And so I can never, because I didn't look into it and the internet didn't exist and it would have to like take a lot of work. I never really knew what side of Ross Perot I was on because people would make fun of him like, he thinks he's a genius, but they would do like a dummy sort of guy,
He loved his charts and graphs.
Yeah.
And I was young. I loved charts and graphs. And he's like, here's how I'd fix the whole system.
Yeah.
It's really this simple. And I'm like, I love simple things. Okay, let's do it. This is Dana Carvey. He was a big Ross Perot impersonator.
I love
In all
this.
fairness, on Saturday Night Live, we do everyone. We do Bill Clinton. We do Ross Perot. Of course, I did do Ross Perot. And here is the deal. Sing. Now, he's got one eye almost shut like that. See, here it is. Now, Christmas season. Isn't this nice? I love those Christmas songs. Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. Now, what the hell is a red-nosed reindeer? A reindeer with a drinking problem, I swear.
And he ended up starting his own business. This is how he became a billionaire. He was doing a business where other businesses can control all their computers somehow. And and it just took off, and he was like in charge of like 80%. I don't know if
Are you saying that he started the internet?
he started the internet. It was not Al Gore. It was Ross Perot. He invented everything. Yeah, 89 years old. The best showing in 1992. 19% of the vote he got.
Didn't he make people, and I could be wrong, but he made people aware of climate change?
That's Al Gore.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
There we go. And that's how much I knew.
Ross Perot. This is what I know about Ross Perot.
Okay.
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Yeah.
Can I finish? Can I finish? That's just from Dana Curry from SNL.
Yeah, sometimes we don't know who we're doing. The impersonator. Am I doing Will Ferrell or am I doing George Bush? Am I
Right.
doing right? He financed the private commando raid in 1979 to free 2 of his employees that were being held prisoner in Iran.
Whoa.
This guy wasn't messing around.
The rest of them he left, but hey,
Right.
they got to work for somebody else. Maybe their boss can kick in.
He spent $63.5 million of his own money on his campaign.
Holy shit, and he didn't win? Fuck.
Right.
Should have paid everybody $1 million.
I know. Right. If you have that much money, you're like, I'm just gonna send everybody a check for $1,000.
Right. Some people have a plan. You know, we give extra $1,000 a month to all the Americans. How about you give me the money now and I just vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just lowered your taxes by giving you $1,000.
Right. Perot's second campaign 4 years later was less successful. I know I didn't vote for him then. He was shut out of the presidential debates when organizers said he lacked sufficient support and got 8% of the vote.
That's a lot.
It's still a lot.
Yeah, when they're shutting him out, that's a lot.
He blamed both major parties for running up a huge federal budget deficit and letting American jobs be sent to other countries. I remember thinking that was a big deal, and maybe it is. But I remember thinking, yeah, America shouldn't have all this debt, and you're a businessman, and it seems like you'll be able to solve this. And then I grew up, and it hit me. Who gives a shit? We owe $16 trillion.
Yeah.
It's fake.
I know.
Who cares? It'd be like if you owed me $1 trillion. I went, you owe me $1 trillion. Can you pay for dinner tonight? And you'd be like, well, I'll get it all to you. Let's just do even tonight.
Yeah.
It's $1 trillion. I'll get to it. You know? Who
So,
cares?
and when you learn about this in school, I remember being in elementary school, and they're like, when they will, because they were explaining the stock market, and they explained the Fed and how it worked. And as a kid, I remember being like, hold on. I'm going to stop you and ask a quick question. You mean to tell me, they're like, so the Fed is this, so it's this independent thing. So it has, there's no jurisdiction, and it lends money to the United States. And then we do something like, but wait, so we're always in debt. So they're lending us money at an interest rate. So the entire country is 100% of the time forever going to be in debt to the Fed, who is controlled by nobody. So the Fed is just, it's like the banker monopoly.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, but as a kid, and then they explain the stock market, and I'm like, that seems like a lot of bullshit that it only works because we all believe it works. As a kid, I was like, this is all the emperor's new clothes. This is like at the beginning, money had where you're like, okay, it had like, you know, as far as like, because we can't trade goods and services, and it kind of meant something. But at this point now, it's all so fucking blown out of proportion, and it's such bullshit. It's like it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not real.
It's like, okay,
That being said, buy Keith's new album for the not real money of like what, $6.99?
Well, that's the thing is, if it's not, then it's like, so then don't stress about it. Yeah, and do spend $6. Spend 12. Send an extra 6. It doesn't matter.
I like this math.
Yeah.
Ross Perot, before he started his own computer business, he worked for IBM. On his last year in IBM, this is in the 50s, he made his sales quota for the year in January, in the very first month. So this guy wasn't a joke.
Wow.
In
It turns out he was. Though.
In 1962, with $1,000 from his wife, Perot founded Electronic Data Systems, period.
Did he cheat on her? Because why not?
And they found kiddie porn last night. Anyway, he was the first person I voted for. It's very exciting.
Keith, you're hot in the chat today. This guy, Roger Stubbs, he's all into you and is asking to take off your top.
Sure, yeah. Well, we have to end the show if you caught me 10 minutes earlier.
Man, I'm sorry.
Wendi Starling, find on Twitter, Wendi Starling, Wendi, the cool way. Instagram, WendyBird82. FetLife. You can go there and see.
I used to have a FetLife profile that someone else made for me. It was a Dom situation.
Oh.
My face was not in there, but this was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, that's the right thing to do. Like, I'm just a submissive. Write my thing together, please.
Right. You can't do anything. You're so submissive.
Yeah.
Can you make me lunch? I'm so submissive.
Right.
I
Honey,
know.
can you get the door? I'm submissive.
I'll
know
bow. I'll bow at you.
By the way, we're having a chat party this Monday. Be part of it, right, Chemda?
Yeah, Monday night. You should subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's just Keith and the Girl. If you go to YouTube, and then if you do that little bell, it'll let you know when we're going live. But definitely come by this Monday night at 7:00. We're gonna have a good time. And also, if you love the